Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We always are talking about the meta here, trying to find out what is the absolute best of the best to use in any given situation. And obviously with the season 2 reloaded update, we got the rebirth update, and I've been playing a lot of that. And in that gameplay, I stumbled across a life where I was spawned in with the Diamatti, and I started using it, and it was frying and frying and frying. And the enemies were dying and dying and dying. All right, so I sat there and I thought to myself, man, this is feeling way better than I thought it was. I gotta check the numbers. And so I did. And it turns out the Diamatti is way better than we all thought. Today, we're breaking down the stats for it. We are going over the best loadout for it, showing off just how good the Diamatti actually is, which really opens up a loadout if you want to try this thing out and use it as that go-to actual secondary. As we break it all down, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in the world of Call of Duty. News, updates, loadouts, tips, you'll find it all right here. So feel free to subscribe with those notifications turned on. Now you might be wondering, Zach, is the Diamatti actually that good? Don't worry, I brought receipts.
Diamatti melt like that?
Contact!
Allied cluster strike arriving. All enemy teams wiped out.
So before we go through and break down the best loadout, let's look at the stats and see how the Diamatti actually competes versus the top meta weapons. I do want to look at this with 300 health, but also 250 to show off how good it is in Rebirth, but also in normal Caldera with that 300 health increase, obviously, as well. So what we got here is our shot combination: 15 to the head, 27 to the chest, 10 to the upper arm, 13 to the upper leg, 5 to the neck, 20 to the stomach behind the face cam there, 5 to the lower leg and lower arm. That's just the default that Tony has here on True Game Data. As always, shout out to him for going through and putting in the work to get all these numbers for us. But let's look at the comparison here. Obviously, I've got the Diamatti. Agency and task force is that go-to for like the range and just making it as competitive as it can possibly be. I wanted to compare it against some of those top SMGs. The MP40 is super popular still, especially with this new short barrel option that a lot of players are ranting and raving about. We got the PPSH, which I've personally been loving. The well gun, which is considered to be like that top SMG. I don't have the Owen gun on this list just because it wouldn't be a fair argument. We all know the Owen has the best TTK up close, so it wouldn't really be much of a competition there. This is a much more competitive area, as you'll see. Again, this is with the 300 health and the combination shots. The orange line is what we're focused on here. And I also wanted to include the sprint to fire time. Now, if we were to take that off, you can see the orange line is still right there with everything. Up close, yeah, it's a little bit slower through those first 10 meters. Then the well gun drops off first. Then the MP40 drops off. Then the Diamatti takes over for a little bit. It drops off. Then the PPSH drops off, and you'll notice over range, actually past 15 meters, really, this thing is actually very, very good, and it's very easy to stay on target. And if you really think about it, yeah, through 15 meters, it's not the absolute best of the best. Keep in mind, this is with no sprint to fire, but 15 meters in game, if you go in and you ping that, that's like nothing. That's really not that far at all. And you're going to fight a lot of engagements past 15 meters in between 15 and 35 here, where yes, the Diamatti does actually have a better TTK. But if we turn the sprint to fire on so it takes that into account, now look at it up close. Through 13 meters, it is literally right there with the well gun, with the PPSH, with the MP40. They all start to drop off. Yeah, the Diamatti drops off from 13 meters to 16 meters. 3 whole meters, folks, is where the Diamatti is not a top TTK weapon versus these specific few. So this is, again, with the 300 health on Caldera, you could get away with using this as an actual secondary, and clearly it can hold its own, which I was very surprised by. Now let's go ahead, let's change it down to 250 health, and you can see this would be, let's say, on Rebirth, where the health is currently still 250 with sprint to fire enabled. Up close, it's actually the second best, only to the PPSH. That's the only thing that can beat it, and it's barely there through those first 13 meters. Then it drops off, and yes, over range through 35 meters. The Diamatti is far and above everything else when you factor in sprint to fire time. If we were to go ahead and turn that off, everything else just gets a lot better up close. But again, past 13 meters, the Diamatti actually can very much so outgun a lot of these other weapons, which again, I did not think was the case. I was not expecting this to be as dominant as it is for a secondary, which opens up a ton of possibilities. Another thing to note here, if you look at these summary stats, we can sort of break these down. The ADS time on the Diamatti, far better than some of these other choices. The base range, surprisingly, is better. The velocity, really is nothing too crazy. The movement speed, better. The ADS movement speed, way better. Better sprint to fire time as well. I mean, statistically, for a secondary, the Diamatti is very impressive. So real quick before we go over these attachments, because we're using a base secondary here, obviously we don't have to run overkill anymore. We can run a ton of other options, which really opens up your class. Now personally, I love using restock to get those extra stims and extra throwing knives. I love that personally, so this allows me to do that right away. No need for the second loadout. That's awesome. If you wanted to run tempered and maximize that armor, you could do so right away. If you wanted to run ghost for whatever reason, you could do that right away. So I love the fact that not only is this giving you a very competitive setup, but it's also opening up options for your overall loadout with your perks. But breaking down the attachments here, like we saw on the graph, we're going for agency and task force just to maximize the control of the range and obviously to keep us off the minimap. I do feel like running an extended mag here is very beneficial. I don't think 30 is totally necessary. It's just going to slow you down a little bit too much. 24 to me seems totally sufficient, especially with that TTK. It works just fine. On here, I'm also going for the 5mm laser just to increase some hip fire accuracy. If you wanted to, you could even run the Tiger Team Spotlight and get some better mobility out of this to make it even faster. Totally viable option as well. I don't think you need an optic. The only stock option is dual wield. We don't want that. So instead, I go for a Serpent Wrap, increase that ADS time even more. And you got a very aggressive, perfect for close range engagements setup here that complements any main primary. I wouldn't necessarily use this as sniper support, but for an LMG, for a rifle, for a tac rifle, anything like that, this is a great secondary that, as we saw, can hold its own surprisingly. So I think it's worth a shot. I don't think, you know, all the pros are going to jump on the Diamatti per se, but I do think it's interesting to note that we do have an actual pistol in the game that can easily compete with some of the top meta weapons and actually have a better TTK than some of them as well. That being said though, that is going to wrap things up for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with everything going on in COD. News, updates, loadouts, tips, you'll find it all right here. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.